Hello and welcome. Today's project is all about fortune telling and mind reading. These two habits, which you can break, by the way. You can lessen them to a substantial degree, but you can break these habits. Why these habits contribute to the weak mindset, the mindset where you view yourself as this unhealthy person, weak-minded person that can't progress or move forward or succeed or grow or become like the person you see on TV or your friend. Let's talk about these two habits and why it's important to recognize them. And I'm going to go into some strategies you can do to break this way of thinking. The first one is mind reading. Now, when I would mind read, this is what would happen. I would say, oh, this person thinks about me this way. That person must think I'm a shy person, a weak person, an unhealthy person. This is what I thought. I embarrassed myself many times being a younger kid, like we all do, right? I remember at my internship, just being there and sometimes making a mistake and thinking, oh, these people must think I'm a fool or a shy person or a weak person or socially awkward. And so that's what I mean by mind reading. Now, the beliefs we hold about ourselves are projected into the eyes of the people around us, especially those people who are more successful, who are healthier, and are higher in the dominance hierarchy, right? And so some people, like myself, I used to look into the eyes of these people and feel, I guess, insecure, and I would feel their judgmental gaze. And partly, there's two reasons that I thought about. The first reason is that I had many stacked negative emotional baggage of my past that resulted in my social anxiety. That's one. I viewed myself as this weak person, and then also I was not so skilled in socialization. This is something I help my clients with as well in my coaching, is how do you become more socialized when you are suffering from anxiety? Because there is a progression towards reducing social anxiety, something I did suffer with. So there's that too. I was very poorly socialized, and I was very self-centered in a more toxic way, an unconscious way. And so I would think that these people were thinking certain ways about me because I was holding these beliefs about myself. I viewed myself as this awkward, shy, quiet, unhealthy person. And here's the thing, and maybe they actually do think that way about me, because if I think that way about me, then maybe they actually do. And that's very useful to know, because you can change, you can get better. If you view yourself as unhealthy, well, wait a minute, maybe shining a light on that truth is going to help you be more healthier, and thus slice that belief by the knees. And then you no longer view yourself as that unhealthy person, and you're no longer projecting that belief into the eyes of the people around you. Lastly, to conclude mind reading, this comes from unexplored inadequacies that need to be brought forth and develop. I needed to look into my social anxiety, and how I did that was to add more discipline to my life. It's very complicated, but I needed to assert myself and to show myself that I am more than I think I am. And you need to do that when you explore the areas of yourself that you just don't want to explore. You think that cleaning your room is going to change how you act at work? Well, I've seen it to be the case within me. It's not just cleaning your room. Cleaning your room is just one step toward the next discipline, the next task to handle, the next challenge. So when we can face all of these different challenges, and then we see in ourselves that we could handle it, that we're more capable of doing things than we originally thought. Even though I don't feel well, that I can still do things. I can be more independent. I don't have to rely on all of these external means to numb and distract and soothe and coddle me. And I can live my life without it and be within my own pain and just prevail. Man, you change your whole outlook on yourself when you do that. So the next one I want to get into, fortune telling. Fortune telling is when you're projecting the worst case scenario in your mind's eye. So the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when you're playing out that movie that has happened to you in your past or has yet to happen, you're feeling the emotions and your body is telling you, man, this is pretty damn real, even though it's just a thought, it's just a movie. Well, it's real. It's real enough. It's real enough to feel the emotion, but also here's the thing. You're going to move towards what you pay attention to, because what you pay attention to the most determines what you value. So if you continuously project the worst case scenario, you're going to move into that. You're going to move into pain. It might not actually happen, and I'll tell you something. I've done this a lot in my life. I'm still working at it. But compared to when I was suffering from anxiety, man, there's no comparison. Because when I was suffering from anxiety, I would project the worst case scenario. What if I faint? What if I throw up at work? Especially when I had health anxiety. What if this is going to happen? What if I have cancer? What if I embarrass myself? 99% of the time, none of it came true. But where was I steering the car? Into pain. I was steering the car into negative emotion. So I was in negative emotion all the time. So I was ruminating about these thoughts that never came to light. But also, I like the car metaphor, because when you're driving a car and you're staring off to the right and you're looking way off into the distance, you're going to steer unconsciously. You're going to move into that direction, and then you're going to recognize, oh my God, I'm going off the road. You got to come back onto the road. So that's what you're doing, but you're moving into pain, you're suffering, you're moving into the emotional state you're complaining about. You're moving, and because you're projecting that energy, you don't think that you're going to manifest some sort of negative outcome from the outside world by holding on to all of this negative emotion. The people around you are going to avoid you because of your negative vibes. You're going to attract the same-minded people, and you're going to hang around them. You're going to rely on substances because of all this pain you're holding on to. You just want to numb and distract yourself. So you're going to move into this direction, and then you're going to be in that pain and suffering for a long time, and then say to yourself, well, the world's just against me, God's just against me, I just have bad luck, and I'm just doomed. It's like, well, where are you steering the car? Where are you What part of you are you refusing to acknowledge? Like, could you change some sort of aspect of your day to day so that makes you feel weak and that you know to be wrong, but you just can't seem to stop? And who knows what's going to happen when you do that? Who knows how much baggage you're going to lift from that? I mean, I needed to implement those baby steps going through my recovery in order for me to steer the car in that opposite direction towards the light. And here's the thing about the right hemisphere of the brain is that the right hemisphere projects images, abstract representations, and what the brain is doing is it's exploring something that has yet to be explored. And that's the beauty of the brain, is that there's two hemispheres. The left helps to rationalize the unknown of the right. So imagine that you're in the unknown of the right. Oh, I'm uncertain that this is going to happen today. I'm scared that this is going to happen. And your mind is exploring all of these uncertainties. But then you're not using your left hemisphere, your rational dialogue, to calm down the abstract representations of the right. You need to. Hey, that's where you say, okay, calm down, let's pick this apart. And so let's get into those strategies. What can you ask yourself? What can you write down in order to lessen the anxiety your right hemisphere is producing? The first thing is, what do you want to happen instead? So if you're projecting the worst case scenario, ask yourself, what do I want to happen instead? What's the ideal scenario that would make me feel empowered, strong, and brave? Also, how do you want the day to go? Imagine how really the ideal day for you. If you can conquer it the best way you could, well, what would that look like? And so imagine a different story. The brain loves to go to the unknown. It loves to go to the negatives because, I mean, there's too much unexplored territory in the world. That's just the reality of it. The world is just too unknown. It's too uncertain. So how do you deal with all of that uncertainty? You have to chunk it down and rationalize the little bits that you're ruminating about the most. Okay? So you take those stories and you rationalize them and you reframe them. You look at them from a different perspective. What would I like to happen instead? How can I solve this problem? What's the first step into solving the problem? And, writing down this is really important because you actually shrink the thing you're contending with. You shrink the dragon in your mind onto the paper. Writing shrinks it down. And then also, it's interesting, when I write stuff down, I notice that my analytical, rational mind, it starts to problem solve when I write it down. So it's like I'm organizing all of the words and the fears up in my mind when I write them down. And maybe here's another big thing to think about. Maybe you had this negative experience happen before, so that the mind is saying, hey, Brad, maybe you shouldn't go into this scenario because this is what happened before. Maybe you heard something on the radio, something on the TV, you read something horrific, and then it's playing itself in your mind's eye and it's preventing you from going and experiencing this thing. Or maybe you embarrassed yourself in your past, or maybe you experienced a loss of a loved one before and you're fearful that it may happen again. Well, what can you do? Reframe it. Reframe it. Look at it from a different perspective. Maybe this is a blessing because maybe this is an opportunity, because maybe this is a challenge to make me stronger, to make me more brave. Reframe the experience. I looked at my panic attacks in a different light when I progressed through recovery. I told myself, I hope I get a panic attack today. It's like, whoa, you just shrunk that dragon down so small. I hope I get a panic attack today. What's the worst that can happen? I'll faint. So what if I faint? Oh, if I throw up? So what if I throw up? I imagine myself throwing up and just laughing about it in my mind's eye, just like, belly laughing. And it just makes me, smile, because it's like, I used to be so fearful of the judgmental gaze. But then, so what if people judge me? Do I want to be their friend? Am I trying so desperately for them to like me? Why am I trying so desperately for them to like me? It's like, I don't want them to be my friend. I'm not looking for them to be my friend. So what if they don't like me? The chances are of me seeing them again are very slim. Or, if I do see them again, and if they don't like me because I threw up, then they're not worthy of being my friend. Or anyways. So it's like, how are you going to look at the scenarios? Maybe this happened to you in the past many times, and so you're fearful of it happening again. But then if you look at it from a different perspective, you change the meaning. You change the meaning, you change the emotion. And that's where I'm going to leave you today. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful for your comments, all your support. If you want to support this channel, these videos and podcasts, please go to unpluganxiety.com, and under support, you can send me anything, any amount of money. That would be really, really helpful. It helps to keep the channel up and running, and it just helps me to continue this journey. And even if you don't send me anything, I'm still going to continue this journey because I love what I do. And thank you so much for being here. Rise above anxiety. I'll see you next time. Make sure to leave your comments below, subscribe so that you'll be the first to know whenever I release a new video, and rise above anxiety. I'll see you next time.